Why technical skills are not enough for a software engineer in the UK. My name is Isaac, previous CTO before the startup, and I run the checkout team at Pretty Little Thing. This video is going to be split into two sections, which is adding context and explaining the concept a little bit more, and then my personal experience and an anecdote to demonstrate. Just as a preface, no one is talking down on technical skills. They are super useful and they are important. You do need them. However, they will only get you so far. Some people love the technical side, never really want to leave that. That's perfectly fine. This is more for people that are maybe in a junior or mid role, they're trying to get to the next level and they're not really sure how to go about doing it. In this video specifically, I want to talk about the inclusion of soft skills with your technical skills. Okay, so how or why would soft skills impact your growth? So it's hard to quantify these things, but I have two beliefs that my experience personally is backed up, so I believe them to be true, and they're kind of the cornerstones of this video. First one, your value in the workplace is dictated by how difficult it is to replace you. And number two, if you want to get promoted, you have to already be working at the level you want to be promoted to. So technical skills do make you valuable and they are essential, but fundamentally everyone around you has these things too, and they're not the hardest to hire for. Although it can be expensive, how difficult is it really to replace? Now, this does depend on your particular skill level, because some people do come out of uni and out of the gate they are making algorithms which detect deep fake videos, and you might actually be in the 1% of technical skill. If so, this doesn't apply to you. However, that is only the 1%, and I'm not referencing that in this video. So the goal of this really is to increase your value to that of your contemporaries, people doing the same job as you. Now, you may feel like you're already more technically competent than them. However, are you twice as fast when you work as them? Do you put out work with half the bugs? If you do, you're probably actually working at the wrong skill level and you should go up. But for the rest of us, how can we make sure that our employer replacing us isn't really worth their time? You could improve your technical skills. However, you will start to see diminishing returns. From a junior to mid, it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot to learn, and the more technical you get, probably the better and quicker you can do stuff. But as you get senior and above, more technical often translates to more complicated. And you can tell when people haven't really pivoted from this learning path, because they start giving work that's too complex for the people that are at a lower level than them, and they start making architecturally complicated solutions that are technically best practice but slow down the whole project. Even if it is diminishing returns, they are going to be noticed by their employer. So do you want to compete with those guys? Because fundamentally, unless you branch out, that's what you're gonna have to do. The inclusion of soft skills actually helps you deviate this. The more adjacent skills you build onto the technical, the more you can leverage the technical. And this kind of comes back to the first point of how can you make yourself next to impossible to replace if someone else has a similar skill set, same industry experience, and the same salary. You do that by compounding the time that you've been at the company. So as much as you want to get your work done when you're there, if your main focus is getting integrated with the team, understanding the business logic, understanding the customers, the value that you add is how long you've been there. So when an employee thinks, okay, I want to replace you, it's not a case of, oh, can I find someone with the same skill set? It's like, even if I get someone just the same price, it would take however long you've been at this company to train you up to your level. So if you've been there for 6 months and this is the kind of value you're outputting, they have to think, okay, I could replace them, but it also takes 6 months minimum for this person to get up to their speed. So how do you go about doing that? First, knowing who in the team does what. Being able to communicate quickly with people and knowing exactly where to go when you have a particular query makes it a lot easier for not only you to be the go-to person, but for you to unblock yourself and figure things out. If a design comes back and it's not right, something's up with it, and you know who did that in the design team, you can speak to them or whoever the decision manager is for that area. Or if you've got a problem with QA, who in QA is the best at handling automation scripts where these things keep failing? Can you speak to them directly and figure out what's going on? Second, spending time to understand business objectives. It's easy for a dev to think, oh, make more money, create less bugs, which is kind of true, but the company will have a culture, and this culture is going to affect how they make decisions on what they prioritize or optimize for. Understanding more about management and the organization is going to help you better integrate and offer alternatives for solutions. And the way you can really learn and improve on this is anytime you're given some sort of task of like, oh, figure out a solution for this or scope out this project, always go to management with minimum 2 options and have different outcomes for each, so different pros and cons. And when you give them these options, they'll pick certain reasons and they'll explain why, and by doing that you actually understand a little bit more the trade-offs they're always making in their head. Because often you might get a project, they scope out the work for you and you see it and you think that's a bit weird, but okay. If you actually understand the lens through which they're making these decisions, you can start going to them with better alternatives and producing better work for them because you meet their goals. Honestly, I think you'd be surprised how much this actually helps you as a dev, because it takes you out of the lens of the technical. So very often it's easy to see them as two separate things. Like the business have requirements, cool, we make them. when realistically the business can only have idea of outcomes. They don't really understand technically what's happening on the ground level. Not only can you offer better solutions for them, you can be more efficient with your work and get more done. Really, these two things are about communication. You'd be surprised at how little the business staff actually understands what the hell is going on with the technical team. If you can become the go-to guy from the business side or the design side, QA, they all come to you when there's some sort of issue, you'd be surprised how many opportunities you get put in front of you. It's not playing some crazy political game in the office, it's just literally being helpful to people and trying to talk to them in their language. If someone asks you a question, you don't have to talk all the technical stuff, you could just tell them the outcomes. From my experience, I honestly think that's the most functional way you can have impact in the workplace and be harder to replace. And now coming to the second point, which is if you want to get promoted, you need to be working higher than the level that you're at. To get a promotion, you fundamentally need to be noticed. If a position comes up and you can either pay someone who's done this before in the industry, they know they can do it, or you, which is a risk, why would they take the risk? Unless it's not a risk. If you've already been working at the level that they're going to promote you to, they actually don't have a risk. They don't have to interview someone. And guess what? They can probably move you to that position and not pay the full salary, which I know sounds bad, but I really don't think you should be trying to optimize for money at this point. Like, if you can have the experience, take the experience, and you can get more somewhere else. Now, as the communication thing I said before, if you are the go-to guy for all these different departments, I promise you, management will notice. The person that's optimized technically might be better technically than you, might be able to code circles around you, but he probably isn't going to be getting the output you're getting. Especially when working in teams, because often the technical side is a little bit more of a solo approach. And even if he does have better output than you, do you think they want to take the technical guy off the technical problems? No, exactly. They want to move the guy who's great at communicating and works very well with the teams, put them in a position where they can impact more of the team. So anecdotally, I joined Pretty Little Thing and I got promoted to a lead developer in 3 months from a senior. Now, this was partially luck because they were actively hiring, or well, semi-actively hiring for a lead developer role. The recruiter who told me about this role and put me through for senior did try and upsell me on the fact that they were looking for a lead. Although I don't think he thought it was going to be me. I think he was just a little bit slimy and he was saying anything he could to get me through the door because I was already at another job. So I think he was just trying to sweeten the deal. Either way, work, so whatever. Me being aware of that when I went to the job for the senior role, I did what I could to drop little hints saying, oh, you know, like I've ran teams before, I worked with teams. I had an agency previously in the past and I delegated a little bit of work, but I hadn't actually run a proper team. I ended up getting the senior role and I swear to God, I was a job's worth when I started, man. Like I was going around with a little notebook asking like different people from different teams. It was like, oh, how does this work technically, you know? And I'd be making my little diagrams and writing notes. I know it sounds silly, but that just seemed to me like the fastest way to get my head down and learn. Now, I didn't necessarily know I was doing this and it certainly wasn't my intention. But I was talking to so many people to try and understand what they knew that I ended up getting on good terms with quite a few people. After the 3-month probation period, when the head of software sat me down and we had the assessment and he's like, look, we're going to promote you to lead. The skills that he told me about when I was getting promoted, I assumed it was all going to be like, oh yeah, you know, the team has said you're great technically, blah, blah, blah. And there was a bit of that. But 80% of the feedback was actually soft skills. It was like people from other departments have said, oh, you know, if I don't get something about design, I'll go speak to them, or QA would say I interacted with them. And funny enough, the thing that was actually most valuable is that I knew where to go when I had a problem. I could unblock myself and I could communicate with people. They found me easy to work with. And honestly, that really kind of changed the way I thought about soft skills, especially within teams. Soft skills are really how you get more out of your hard skills. It's how you leverage them. As I said, with diminishing returns on technical skills, you either have to become a system architect, which even then, it requires a lot of communication with the business team to understand requirements and then be able to communicate and put that into something for the technical team. But fundamentally, the way you move up in a company is you get more output for your work, and the way you get more output is by leveraging your technical skills, and soft skills is one of the best ways to do that. Being able to communicate with people, being the go-to person, they are invaluable. So this is just my experience, but I do hope it is useful for someone out there. If you know someone struggling with a similar problem, please send them this video so they can make a more informed decision. Thanks, guys.